television.
Progress. Lousy luck. You sure make a lot of noise.
You decide to join us, eh?
Yeah.
The music was huge in our family. And so starting all that stuff, the theater input and all that thing, I brought to voice acting, which I had never, ever done. When they asked me to audition for this role, I said, do I have to sing something? They went, no. Tell us what it was for. They said, no, it's for Project X. We can't tell you. But I said, oh, great. Okay, so we showed up at the thing, at the audition. They're from New York and LA, the writers and directors, producers and stuff. And we're in Toronto, and gave me this scripts to read and all these lines. And I'm saying, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what the X-Men were. I'd never heard of them. And none of us had. I don't know. It's like we live on another planet or something. I don't get it. But I wasn't into comics. I mean, because I'm working, singing constantly. And, it was just crazy. When I showed up for this thing, I said, so what am I doing? And they said, you're auditioning for Wolverine. I said, okay, what's Wolverine? And they said, oh dear. Oh dear, one of these. And they showed me a picture, and I said, okay. And they said, he's 5'3", tough as nails. He would die for his friends. If need be, he would fight anyone on the planet and give his life if it had to be to save some of his friends and the people that he loves. And they said at the end of it, and he's cranky. And I said, he's cranky. They said, yeah. I said, oh my God, I love him already. Because my wife says that all the time. And so they gave me this script, and I'm reading the lines that they gave me. And I said, so who do you hear him sounding like? And they said, almost all of them just said, Clint Eastwood. They went, oh, great. Clint Eastwood. But Clint Eastwood is always down here, so very quiet. And go ahead, punk. That's it. I said, this line that I'm looking at, I could never hear Clint Eastwood doing this because he would have to be yelling. And I've never heard Clint Eastwood scream or yell in a movie. It's all clenched teeth and very kept within himself. And they said, okay. Well, I said, so who is he yelling at? And they said, because I don't know anything about the X-Men. And they said, this line is he's yelling at Sabretooth. And I said, Sabretooth? And I'm Wolverine. Is this an animal cartoon? And they just went, what? I said, yes, is this an animal cartoon? No. And then after they stopped laughing, I said, well, what? Sabretooth's a tiger, obviously, and I'm a Wolverine. I said, no, they're mutants. And I went, what the hell's a mutant? Like, for God's sakes, what do you mean? So they explained all that stuff, and now, they're just rolling their eyes. And the very first line, so I said, okay. They said, so you're ready to read? And I said, well, I guess, because I looked at this line, and I didn't know that the scene was Sabretooth he's yelling at, and the scenario is Sabretooth is laid up in the mansion in a hospital bed, and, all kinds of stuff plugged in him, and he'd die, or they think. And Wolverine at one point is beside him. The professor says, don't touch him. You could kill him. And Wolverine just said, good. Good. No, he'll die. Good. And he walked away. And he's over to where Jubilee was. And then Jubilee, shakes her head at Wolverine and runs over to his bed and tries to help Sabretooth. And he just grabs her and throws her across the hall. You don't do that in front of Wolverine to a 12-year-old girl. It's the size of Sabretooth. And he just jumped up. And this is the very first line that I read. He just says, all right, you egg-sucking piece of gutter trash. You always like pushing around people smaller than you. Well, I'm smaller. Try pushing me. And they just went ape shit. They went, holy shit. Give them some more lines quick. And, so I read for the next 15, 20 minutes, and they just said, thank you so much, Cal. We'll be in touch. And I said, okay, thanks, boys. And away I went, and they phoned me the next day, and they said, we would really love for you to be our Wolverine. And I said, okay, whoever he is, let's go. Whoever he is, or whatever he is. And that was the beginning, Joshua, of 5 of the greatest years of my life. The writing in our series from 92 to 97 was brilliant. Wolverine had the greatest lines of anyone. And the whole that whole 5-year series And I was told this walking in on my first day to record Wolverine, and I was so nervous. I didn't know, because I'd never done anything like this. And they were still guiding me, like, oh, that's good. This is the first episode. But he walking in, and the president of Marvel, Vice President of Marvel, said, Cal, just want to tell you something before you go in. To begin your 5 years with us. I said, yes. What is it? He said, this whole series is all about your character. I mean, what? He said, yeah, it's all about Wolverine. This series. You will see any advertising for this series will have him front and center, always. It'll be the first one that people see. On any advertising we do, it'll be Wolverine front and center with the rest of them behind him. Any advertising, and he proved it. I mean, anything that I saw promoting the show, it was always Wolverine up front and the rest of them sort of behind him. And it was like, I said, oh, gee, thanks for that.
No pressure. Yeah, no pressure.
Thanks for that. So, but the writing, the lines were, and he just said Wolverine, the first line that told me that he had a heart, and he was very, for this tough persona that he had, and Mr. Cranky. So Jubilee has just arrived at the mansion for the first time. Her parents dumped her off, and she goes out exploring or whatever, and they all think she's lost. So they're all Storm, Rogue, Gambit, Beast, all looking for her. And of course, Wolverine's on his own up a tree. And he looks down at them because they're all yakking about where'd she go? And Wolverine looks down and says, boy, you sure make a lot of noise. And he jumps down on the ground, and Hunk is there, and he's hunches. And Storm says, did you find the girl? And Wolverine says, no, scent went cold outside the house. Got bit by a dog too. I went, what? I went in my head, I went, what? You got bit by a dog? You're full of adamantium, and you have claws yourself, and you got bit by a dog too. It's like, it just told me so much about his heart and how lonely he is. And all he was looking for was like a little bit of attention, and maybe someone, oh, really? Does it hurt? Because he just says it sort of, yeah, no, the cold man cold outside the mansion. Got bit by a dog too, in case anyone really cares.
Oh, man.
That just showed me what kind of a person he, like the heart he had and stuff, and how he's lonely. God.
Weight loss.
We get this done by working together as a team. Think you can do that, Logan?
Jeez, Dad. Keep buzzing in my ear. What would we do if we ever lost you?
And it was so sad when it ended after 5 years, because it was, well, they don't want to end on a downer. Well, you're certainly not doing that, because it was the top animated series at that point. The fans went crazy when it was canceled. We did. It's like it was like my brother cutting off my right arm. It's like, what? I don't get to see him anymore. I don't get to. It's like missing my brother again. Like that, when Sean went away, he's my blind and deaf brother. It's like, what do you can't do that. Let me do something. No, it's over, Cal. Okay. So he just went on and did with other stuff like Slappy and whatever. But he was always in my heart, still following me around. And then when it came back after doing all these cons in the last 4 years specifically, and we do a panel and we'd say to the fans, please keep bugging Disney, because they're hearing you as well as us. They're hearing you because they're inundated. You're inundating them with messages and letters, etc. Sure enough, 2 years ago, Disney said, we're doing it. Let's go. And they phoned me and said, yeah, let me think about that for a minute. It's about time. And yes. And when I saw him in the new animation, I almost crapped my pants. I was in doing because no one had seen an animation yet. So I'm in doing we'd recorded like 4 episodes already for the first season. And so, we do the voice, the people, the animators animate to our voices. And if they make a mistake, then say I said, back off, bub. And they animate it as if I said, back off, bub. Then I have to go in and because it costs too much money for them to reanimate it, I go in and redo it quicker. And I walked in, I was so excited because I hadn't seen him, and I didn't see any of the new animation. And because now I have to watch his lips. And he walked out, he was like the size of a tower. This big, huge Wolverine new animation. And my voice director's there, because I'm in Toronto. She's in LA, voice director. She's on a screen. I just said, holy crap, you look great, bub. To Wolverine. You can't say an answer unless you do his voice. And I said, I know what he's thinking. So it was just great to see him. I said, wow, he looks great.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so great to be back.
Why resist the inevitable?
Lady, I got 6 reasons why.